What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Two Friends Fighting. I'm Jackson.
I'm Robbie.
And we have a special guest today. We have Miss Kelly McGuinness. This is a family friend, and we have her on. Well, Kelly, let's let you tell the people about yourself a little bit, and I think you can maybe guess why.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if they don't address the elephant in the room. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, really happy to be here. Honored to be the first guest on the show. Although a little disappointed I missed out on the hot sauce episode the last time. But alas, we'll leave that until the whole COVID chicken thing is over.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm Irish, obviously, and big fan of the UFC and looking forward to the fight this weekend.
Yeah.
And breaking it down today.
Yeah, so go ahead, Robbie.
Well, if that wasn't a dead giveaway as to why we have Kelly on the show, obviously this coming weekend is the fight between the fighting Irish Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. I think we're all really looking forward to it. Their first fight was absolutely, it was a destruction, but I think we're all looking forward to the rematch. Yeah. And we have Kelly on because we want to see some opinions of what the Irish people have on their hero, Conor McGregor.
It's a big air quote on that one. Yeah. So like I mentioned, Kelly's a family friend. Over the past couple of years, I've gotten to know that Kelly has some inside information, let's just say, about Conor McGregor. Things aren't always how the media depicts them, and being Irish, Kelly, and being from Ireland, and you still have a lot of family, like your whole family still lives in Ireland. You still have a lot of inside information on the sort of the inner activities, I guess I should say, of one famous Irish sports star.
Yeah, not me, but Conor McGregor here, the other Irish sports star. Yeah, basically, McGregor, he started off very well. We don't have much of a platform in terms of Irish sport apart from rugby, so all of our hopes were riding on him initially, and everyone got behind him, as you can see from the last Poirier match. I think it was in Vegas. A lot of Irish fans there blew the roof off. Yeah. But since then, it's just kind of gone downhill, and a lot of things that he does now are really hard to go unnoticed. So I would say that, from my perspective, a lot of Irish people have lost respect for him. He most recently punched an old man in an Irish pub because he refused to drink his whiskey, which I know, Jackson, you're a fan of, Proper 12.
Never had Proper 12, but I am a fan of whiskey. But yeah, I do hear that, the guy's making a lot of money off of that whiskey, though.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that, among whiskey drinkers, I am not a whiskey drinker, but I've heard that people who enjoy whiskey don't enjoy Proper 12. So yeah. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
Aren't you supposed to, if you're a whiskey drinker, you're supposed to not drink it as a shot? He's high school boy trying to get I
think it's definitely for the younger crowd. I think it's for people that the people that are still into flavored vodkas and stuff like that. I hear it's very sweet, the Proper 12 Irish whiskey. But anyways, enough about his whiskey. I'd like to. We're gonna start breaking down the UFC here, but as you can tell, there's a little bit of an unorthodox filming for us today. In Ontario, we have a stay-at-home order in place, so obviously that's why we don't have Robbie here. We would have loved to have Kelly be our first in studio guest as well, but that's for another time. Hopefully, sometime soon in the future. So let's dive into UFC 257 a little bit. I know, Kelly, you've really gotten into the UFC. You weren't so much of a fan before the McGregor era, but now you're a UFC fan, not so much a McGregor fan, just based off of his sort of dealings. But Kelly, can you sort of give us a little bit of insight into, the guy's a good fighter. The guy's a great fighter. What do you think happens UFC 257? Is it for you? Do you just have a hope that Dustin Poirier wins? Do you see some sort of technical thing about Dustin Poirier that I think I think Dustin's going to win based on this, because as we know, they fought one time in the past, and McGregor did knock him out in the first round.
Yeah, I think they were different fighters then, though, right? Like, I think that the most interesting thing about this fight is that, you know, neither of them have ever lost a rematch. So I think that that's, you know, really what's most interesting. Like, you know, I might not be a McGregor fan anymore because, you know, he's kind of disgraced the whole Irish name. But
tell us how you really feel.
Deep down, deep down, I would still, like, ultimately my heart would be rooting for the Irish. But I would still say that he'll pip it, to be honest. He looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He's got a lot to prove. Like, he fought Cowboy Cerrone. Like, I think I would be able to beat him at this point in his career, you know what I mean? So
well, those fight in rugby days, Kelly, I think you would definitely stand a chance against Cowboy.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. So my money's on McGregor, as much as I hate to say it, to be honest.
Ooh, I'm holding you to this one, Kelly. Because now if Dustin Poirier wins, you can't say I told you so.
Look, I'd be happy if he won. I just don't think he will win. Like, the last time he fought was just a joke, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Robbie, what do you think?
Well, first of all, in his prime days, Cowboy Cerrone was one of my favorite guys to watch. He took fights all the time, but I agree that last fight against McGregor was just
pretty shameful.
His best performance. It was. I was crying. I was like, really? It took 10 seconds. That being said, so I didn't know any of this, like, things with the Irish people and Conor, so it's crazy to see how, like, that level of fame can kind of, like, make you do certain things that make all of your people turn on you. It's kind of crazy. It's a damn shame because you see him sometimes, he's very humble, but he's still a great fighter. I love to see him fight. He's amazing at, like, drawing a crowd and building hype around a fight. So he's great at that. That being said, I think I would like to see Dustin Poirier win. And based on what I've seen from his training, like from him on Instagram, from his coaches on Instagram, I think he's definitely a different fighter than he was before. And I think he might have it in him to actually, like, win this time. I mean,
so hold on a second.
Gonna bring it.
Are you officially picking Dustin Poirier in this fight?
I'm going to pick Dustin Poirier for this one. Like, I'm not putting money on it because historically that's gone terribly for me. But I'm saying, like, I think based on what I've been seeing, the way he's been training, the way he's approaching it, like, as Dustin's gotten older, he's not, like, the same person he was. I mean, like, look at how he actually beat Justin Gaethje, who, like, has been really brilliant recently. Yeah. So he's definitely approaching it with a different mindset. That being said, so is Conor. Again, it's going to be like something where it's like, I think he'll win. I want him to win, but there's also a good chance that I could be wrong. I'm openly admitting that fact that, like, both guys could win it. I just think right now with Dustin's momentum and his new mindset that he might take it.
Okay, well, there you have it. Robbie's official prediction for the UFC 257, McGregor versus Poirier. He's going with Dustin Poirier. Now, you haven't heard my prediction yet. Now, I think it would be very interesting if I went Poirier too, and then we have the one person who hates Conor McGregor the most actually picking him in the fight. But I have to side with Kelly on this one. I've been seeing some stuff that he's talking about how he would demolish the old Conor McGregor. He's even better. He's a new version of himself that could destroy all the past versions of himself. So I've seen that stuff. I don't know how real it is, though. You can. I mean, he's always talked a big game, right? He's always talked a big game.
He said the exact same thing when he fought Floyd Mayweather and what happened in that fight.
It's true.
That's a boxing fight, though.
It's a boxing match.
Yeah. He also just put a fully fledged UFC octagon in his own house over the COVID.
I didn't know that. See, these are the goodies that we just don't have, Kelly. These good tidbits of information we just don't.
House.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is get some blankets, some chicken wire, and a nail gun, staple gun.
You gotta get barbed wire. Barbed wire. That'll keep you motivated.
Okay, so we've made our picks. Robbie, you sort of went into why you think Poirier is gonna win. gotta just say, like I've made my pick. I'm going with McGregor, but I gotta say I love Dustin Poirier. I love like how nice of a guy. Like everyone always talks about how nice of a guy Dustin Poirier is. He's got his own charity, the Good Fight Foundation. I mean, props to him and his wife for what they do for like their community. But we got to be a realist at the same time. Like, do I want Dustin Poirier to win? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, Conor McGregor just demolished him badly the last time. He beat him badly. Like, he knocked him out pretty easily. And Dustin Poirier is really known for being a striker, and he's known for getting hit too. Dustin Poirier is known for getting hit. And if there's one thing that Conor McGregor does is he's got some good power, and I think he's got some good accuracy too. So I think that's really the big difference maker in this fight is Conor McGregor's accuracy, his power, and Dustin Poirier having a tendency to get hit. Now, I do think that Poirier has a chance if he decides to start wrestling, however. If Poirier does decide to wrestle, he's been shown to have some pretty good offensive jiu-jitsu. We did see Conor McGregor struggle with that in the Khabib fight. So, I mean, there's some hope for Kelly yet. What's that? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Conor McGregor did get submitted against Diaz, but I don't know. Diaz was a big guy. Diaz was a big guy in that fight. He did go up to 170 pounds for that fight.
That's true.
Yeah, McGregor definitely gassed out for that one.
He did. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's like marketing his new system, the McGregor Fast system, right? His own like exercise system where he's like now like the Terminator. Now he's got like unlimited cardio. But I mean, we've seen him still gas out.
Is FAST an acronym?
I don't know if it's...
Dude, it sounds like it's an acronym.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I've seen the YouTube videos about it. It's basically just like a way of testing like your aerobic and anaerobic thresholds and like pushing those limits. I think FAST just sounds like a cool name. It's like when GSP had he called it Rush Fit or something like that years back, right? So it's just putting your name in front of a word, basically. I don't think FAST stands for anything.
Now, Kelly, I want to get a little bit back into. I mean, we've talked about some more of the technical side of this. I want to get into a little bit more of the goss here. I want to get into some more. I want you to spill a little bit more tea here when we're talking about Conor McGregor. What's going on with his personal life these days? So we know, and I don't know if you're familiar about what's going, because it seems like he's sort of under the radar these days. Is there still whispers of what's going on in his personal life?
Yeah, I mean, he's notorious, pun intended. He's notorious, in the drug space in Dublin, to be honest. He's very good friends with gang members, Irish gang members. And he tried to fight a person from a different gang in Ireland in a pub. And there was a hit put out on him, allegedly, right? Just going to cover my back for legal reasons in case this goes viral. He allegedly had a hit put out on him and he fled to Dubai. I think this is about 2 years ago. Wow. And his dad had to come in and pay off the gang, who are actually like very, Ireland isn't known too much for gangs, but they're a really, really serious gang. And eventually he was able to return and whatnot. Wow. That's just one of many stories. He was apparently, after getting some girl pregnant 2 years ago also, who came out on Instagram with pictures of him, intimate pictures of him, stuff like this. So he's just really not a good guy. I gave him every chance. I think a lot of people did back home, but just let down at every occasion. Yeah, because I was sort of like you when Conor McGregor was just getting into the game. Like I don't know, I didn't really know him like on that personal level where like you didn't get a really close inside look at his personal life. I just saw this guy come up and he's just like knocking everybody out. He's a little bit brash. He's talking a big game, which actually brings a lot of eyes to the sport, right? It's like, man, this guy is different, right? He's unique and he's got a good fighting style too. And then you start hearing stuff like, I heard stuff from you. I've had those personal stories
I've also, there's also like those big news breaks where, like, again, he's like punching old men in bars. He's chasing Khabib in the van with, like, and he throws the big dolly at the bus window. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, like for me, like that definitely puts like a black mark on like just his whole like persona, you know? But I'm still picking him to win the fight.
Tried to change.
Yeah,
same. But lately he has tried to change. You know, to his credit, like he's put a lot of money back into the boxing club, Crumlin Boxing Club, that he, you know, essentially started his career. He's bought a couple of houses to try and help people that are less fortunate.
He's definitely donated a lot to charity. Yeah, as of late, right?
Why didn't they cancel him though? Like everybody's getting canceled nowadays. Like,
he didn't get canceled because he's too famous. I don't know. Like,
you mean too famous?
That's just part of it. I don't know. Maybe like, why didn't he get canceled? Because cancel culture is pretty big these days.
Everybody just boycotts him. Like the UFCs is.
Because I think it's all alleged, right? Like, has anything really been proven? Like in terms of like the affairs or whatever, the sexual assault. I think he has mostly got off scot-free, right?
Well, he bought off that guy who he punched in the face, but there's video evidence that he did punch an old guy. He's been recorded like grabbing people's phone and smashing it off the ground. People that I know at home anyway, who live in the Dublin area, like, he's not well liked in the neighborhood that he lives in. He lives in like a golf club neighborhood, and he, you know, scoots around on his jet ski all day, and apparently there's cocaine all the time, allegedly, at his parties, things of that nature. So yeah, it's just ultimately a bit of a disgrace. But in terms of the cancel culture, he brings in so much money for the UFC, and there are certain people who are just pure fans. You know, nothing that he does will ever. Yeah. Nice. Are you on that?
Two friends fighting, OnlyFans coming soon.
I will not be part of that. Just to put that out there.
Oh, damn it.
Robbie was really hoping for a big push of the Two Friends Fighting OnlyFans in 2021, but we might that might have to be a 2022 venture there, Robbie.
There's always Cam.
Fine. We'll go back to the drawing board and stuff.
I mean, that's why we're doing all these things with hot sauce, right? We're warming our way up to it. We gotta start off with hot sauce. The next video we're doing, I don't know, maybe like some maybe we're like surfing or something, topless surfing, and then we just work our way to we work our way down.
Okay, where are we surfing first of all? Where are we surfing? It is middle of winter. We cannot go anywhere. It's cold outside.
I'm sorry we made you do this, Kelly.
That's fine.
I'm sorry we brought you into this.
It's your reputation on the line, not mine. So
that's right.
Well, I want to know from Kelly though what's the one thing that like you wish you had over here that you had back home? Like if you could take something with you.
That's a good question.
Like what do you miss the most?
Great question.
What could I bring from Ireland over to Canada?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
probably my sister.
Oh, the sister! Go on, you can't pick a family member.
Yeah. If not a family member, then absolutely it will be chocolate. Yeah, without a doubt.
I saw she was saving a goose the other day, or a swan.
She's a lunatic. Yeah, not a Canada goose at that, right? Like not my jacket, but yeah, she saved an actual goose. She's like Dr. Dolittle. That's
crazy. So. But the chocolate is top notch. Kelly's brought some over.
You can attest to that.
In the past, and I can definitely attest. The Irish chocolate is amazing. Okay.
Sounds delicious.
So enough about all that. We've covered the main event for UFC 257. Before we go, I just want to cover the co-main event quickly. For those who are not familiar, Dan Hooker is fighting Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler was a former Bellator fighter, Bellator champion, coming over to the UFC. This is his debut fight. That's a pretty big fight too, the Chandler versus Hooker fight. I'd like to see your picks. Maybe Robbie, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, so I've been following Mike Chandler for a while, basically, because he had like a bunch of wars in Bellator with Eddie Alvarez, who came to the UFC, got the belt, lost it to Conor, of all people, and now Chandler's finally making his way over. I think he's got momentum behind him, but
Does he though?
For his from Bellator at least.
He hasn't fought in a while.
Exactly. So which is why I think that Hooker, it's a terrible last name by the way, the worst, has more momentum. I believe he won his last fight. And I think he's just going to do really well. And that whole gym...
Wasn't his last fight against Poirier? Hooker's last fight was against Poirier that he lost, right?
I don't remember actually, but I don't think they put him on a co-main if he lost.
I don't know.
I'd have to check that. I remember...
Get your facts straight, Robbie.
Hey, you let me know. Right, but either way, again, I don't think they would put a guy who came off a loss in a co-main event. Wouldn't make sense, especially against a guy like Mike Chandler, who they're bringing in just for the name because they can market him as a former Bellator champion. Yeah. So I personally think that it's going to be Dan Hooker who takes this one.
Oh, okay. I mean, all your description was sounding like you're going to go with Chandler, but you pulled Dan Hooker on this one.
Little switcheroo.
Kelly, are you familiar with these two fighters, Dan Hooker and Michael Chandler?
I'm actually not, but I'm a big fan of Friends, so I'm going to go with Chandler, just because I'm a big Chandler fan.
I like the pick.
That's a good reason. That's honestly a good reason.
But Chandler was my least favorite guy on Friends, though, I got to say. Wasn't Chandler the worst?
Phoebe? Come on, Jackson.
Phoebe is the worst?
Phoebe's by far the worst. Yeah.
No, Kelly, you're such a Phoebe.
Otherwise.
Robbie's clearly a Joey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Killed it. Jackson, you're right. Dan Hooker's last fight was against Dustin Poirier. He did.
There we go. Get your facts straight, Robbie. I mean, we're having audio issues before this too. Like between the audio issues and the facts. Oh, Robbie's having an off day.
I'm actually the new presenter, guys. Robbie is going to be not on the next episode. So thanks very much for everything that you've done, Robbie.
Thanks, this is just the passing of the torch episode for Robbie.
I'm starting my own podcast on the side. Tune into that.
It's going to be one friend fighting alone. Crying.
One friend fighting audio issues.
Fighting audio issues. Okay. Just to close things out, I'm going to, for that fight, Chandler and Hooker, I'm going to go with... I've thought about this one. This one for me is a little bit tougher than the McGregor versus Poirier fight. Although I do think Poirier has made a lot of progress, I still think Conor McGregor is still a couple steps ahead of him. In terms of the Chandler versus Hooker fight, I like Hooker's length. I like his reach against Chandler. Chandler is like sort of a shorter, stockier guy. And I don't know if he's going to have... I think Chandler's going to have issues covering the distance. I also just look at the fights that I know that Chandler was a part of, and he's already lost to Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez isn't even in the UFC anymore, right? So, I mean, Dan Hooker's been fighting the cream of the crop guys, and I think that experience... I mean, he just fought against Poirier, for example, and that was a tremendous fight if you haven't seen Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Although he did lose that fight against Poirier, I think it was a very close fight, and I think that Dan Hooker is going to get his hand raised on Saturday. I think it probably will go to decision. If it's only a 3-round fight, I think that one will go to decision. If I have to pick McGregor versus Poirier, I see McGregor getting it done probably in the first round, or even maybe early in the second round. Yeah, I think that's what I'm sticking to. Those are my picks. Do we have a method for the McGregor versus Poirier fight? Do we think that McGregor is going to finish? Kelly, do you think he's going to finish Poirier?
Yeah, I think if he's going to win, he'll knock him out. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
He doesn't really stand much of a chance if it goes past, like, would you say, like the half of the third round or so? Because, I mean, that's when he's really seen to get tired, and he starts to gas out right around halfway through that third round.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I haven't seen much of Poirier past the third round. But what I'd say is that McGregor does look like he's in good shape at the moment, and he by nature is a striker. Like, he grew up in Dublin and he was part of like a big boxing background. So I don't doubt that if it comes down to striking, that he will inevitably win. But yeah, I would say he'll knock him out, and I'd say it'll be the second or third round if I had to guess. But it certainly won't be as entertaining as the Max Holloway fight, I don't think, at the weekend.
That was a great fight. Yes.
Yeah.
Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing where Max Holloway goes from this one. I mean, it's only he's got to go back to the title, right? His next fight has to be for the title, I think.
After that performance, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
And Robbie, how do you think Poirier gets it done? You did pick Poirier after all.
Yeah, I did pick Poirier. I think so. I think what's going to happen is he's going to use his conditioning to like just wear out McGregor and try his best to out wrestle him. I think if he's smart,
you think he's going to go for the wrestling?
I think if he's smart, he will. Obviously, Dustin is a striker through and through, so he's going to throw some bombs. He hits hard. I mean, he beat Justin Gaethje.
But I think for Dustin Poirier, Dustin Poirier has to, for him to have a chance, he has to think that he's covered a lot of distance. He has to think that he was not the same guy in that first fight, and he could do way better in this fight. So to think that, for him to actually go into the fight thinking that McGregor has an edge on him striking wise, that's not good for his own psyche. So I can't see him shooting for takedowns, because I think for him, he has to think that he's the better striker now. I think he has to think that he has improved so much that he is now the better striker.
So I don't think he's a better striker because we've seen Conor.
You don't think so, but what do you think Dustin Poirier thinks? Does Poirier think that he's a better striker?
I think Poirier will now think that he's a better fighter in general, and he's going to use his striking to set up his takedowns and use that wrestling he has and the defensive jiu-jitsu to do what other people like Khabib and Diaz have done before on the ground against Conor to actually get the win, right?
Okay.
So again, I think that's what he has to do to win. Do I think it's going to happen? I hope it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to happen. Yeah. Again, it's not like a hope thing, but I do think it'll win.
Well, there you have it. Those have been our picks for UFC 257, at least the main event and the co-main event. Other than that, the card really drops off in quality. We want to thank Kelly for joining us. Kelly McGuinness, you're a lad as always. Thank you for all the insight that you've had. I mean, just some of these stories, like I wasn't familiar with some of these stories about Conor McGregor, like being involved in the whole like drug business and fighting mob bosses or something like that. Allegedly. We have to add that. But yeah, I mean, this was definitely a fun episode. We'll definitely, at least Robbie and I will be here. Maybe, I mean, we'll talk to Kelly, but Robbie and I will be here to break down post-fight to see what goes on. We'll talk to Kelly, see if she maybe has some time for us. But yeah, this was definitely a fun episode. Although we weren't really able to join in person, we got to break down this weekend's fights. So hopefully, I mean, crossing our fingers. I mean, it sounds like all of us are sort of rooting for Poirier on this one. But we me and Kelly are a little bit more realists here, Robbie. What can we say?
I'm optimistic. What can I say? I like Dustin Poirier. He's one of my favorite guys.
Perfect. Okay, any last words, Kelly?
No, just thanks again for having me on, guys. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, Robbie, thanks for everything that you've done so far, and I look forward to taking it from you.
Hey, do me proud. You got this. Big shoes to fill. You can do it.
All right, and there you have it. Another episode breaking down UFC 257. Hopefully, you guys enjoy this weekend's fights. Once again, I'm Jackson.
I'm Robbie.
And
I'm Kelly.
Perfect. And this is Two Friends Fighting. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. Comment on who you think will win the fight too. Perfect. See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
course, that is a handsome, pretty 600s. So there was this decline right there. It's like, oh, that's the same thing. I'm handsome, I'm pretty, I'm attractive, I'm beautiful.